another trend that's continuing, which is teens in high school showing up either with pellet guns or replica guns. And yesterday was no exception in an Oakville high school where a teen was arrested by coming to school with a replica handgun. Well, the 16-year-old male is now arrested and in custody. Essentially, this was at Oakville High School, and where the school was briefly placed in a lockdown, and the surrounding schools were also placed in lockdown due to this incident. About 2:45 p.m. yesterday, Halton Regional Police was called to White Oaks Secondary School and saying that there was reports of a male with a firearm in the area. The other schools went into lockdown, and about 3:40 p.m., that's when the suspect was taken into custody. His name cannot be revealed because he is underage, and that there's protection because he's a youth. And then around that same time, the lockdown and hold and secure order was lifted from the school and the surrounding schools. And this just comes at the heels of what we saw happen in Aurora just earlier in the week, as well as what we saw in the other Toronto schools with the pellet guns that were shot. Now, this seems to be, according to police and some of parents are saying that there's a trend on TikTok where that is taken effect, where teens are posting images or videos of misbehaving, and this trend is continuing. This is multiple incidences just for this week. We're on at Wednesday, and Monday we already have reported 3 other incidences when it comes to teenagers and when it comes to their schools, and either replica guns or pellet guns. And this is quite serious. This is something that needs to be addressed because after the shootings that happened in Texas, and how everybody's on full alarm and full alert, and now the teens are actually escalating this level of traumatic anxiety that's around safety and security when it comes to shootings, and this is something that's happening now. Another thing is it's about they need to be careful. I mean, to parents out there, it's very important that they talk to their children, because there was a man, if you recall, just a week ago, who was outside of a Scarborough school. It looked like he had a rifle. It was a pellet gun, and he was shot on the scene. And the police showed up, and they took the steps they needed to take. The police report showed that the man had not had a confrontation. He didn't try to shoot at the police, but he was shot. And if for any of the teens who are taking firearms to school, well, don't assume that you'll be safe, because if police show up to the scene and it appears that you have a firearm and that you're going to risk other people around you, then you could definitely be the target, and that could be a life lost, or you could have severe injury. So this is a very important fact, and especially when it comes to a replica gun, because it looks like a real gun. And these lockdown, secure and hold lockdowns that are happening at high schools, well, that's very traumatic for all the other students who now believe that they're in a school and there is going to potentially be a violent scenario happening on their premise. It could be a shooting, it could be a death, it could be severe injuries. And this is happening in the GTA. We saw the case yesterday, we talked about in Aurora, where 2 teens put up a video threatening the town of Aurora, and then their schools went into lockdown. We saw that in 2 different schools in Toronto just on Monday that went through the same thing. So I think this is a bigger conversation we need to have, and I think it's about parents also taking a big step and talking to their children. And if there is a trend on TikTok to misbehave, or based on what other reports are consistently coming up, then they need to get in front of it and talk to their children, because the school can only do so much and the police force can only do so much, because they'd show up to the scene, and their first target is, their first priority is to make sure that there's safety and security for all the other student and staff. And it would be an unfortunate situation if a teen with a replica handgun or a BB gun is shot by the police, and that's it. And so hopefully we won't see more cases of this, but this is at the heels of what's happened in Texas, where 19 children were killed by an 18-year-old who came to their school and kill 2 adults, and those children who are now being buried and having a memorial, and it's just absolutely devastating what's happening. And so to have these acts of violence, and it's very significant and it's very disheartening. But yeah, that's what we have to talk about, and hopefully this is going to be part of the bigger conversation, not just politically, but when it comes to families and as a community overall.